Clever coyotes continuously cunning, covertly canvassing countryside cabins. Cautious critters constantly craving, capturing chickens, causing consternation. Except coexistence is crucial, chaps. Cultivate cohabitation considering coyotes' critical contribution. Can't chase them clear because coyotes, consistently cunning, can't capitulate. Consequently, cohabitating's crucial, chums. Cheers to coyote coexistence. Release the Kraken! While viewers of our videos will not be surprised to hear this, a lot of folks in my community are shocked to hear that I am a farmer who raises poultry, yet I also believe in the existence of coexisting with coyotes. I do not see coyotes as some sort of pestilence that must be eradicated from the landscape. In fact, I personally believe that they're becoming a keystone species for us here in Vermont in the 21st century. Morning, weirdos. And I know I'm probably gonna get hammered in the comments of folks saying that coyotes are an invasive species and they're not native to this area and they really have only come here in the last few years, and that coyotes are a scourge upon the population and the environment, and some folks believe I should be doing everything I possibly can to wipe them out of the area. But the thing is, if you look at the last 150 to 200 years, the landscape has seriously changed, and coyotes have really migrated into this area as a result of missing original species and climate change. And my belief is definitely rooted in this idea that I see a farm as an ecosystem. Both the parts of the farm that I manage directly, like this here hoop coop. Good morning, Betty Boop, how are you doing? But I also believe that our farm's ecosystem extends well beyond our fence lines and into the more wild parts of this area. And so the ways that our farm animals and plants interact with the wild animals and plants that are around in this area is critically important. You know, one example of that I talk about way too much is the way that our livestock guardian dogs here keep our birds safe, is that they essentially act as the apex predators, marking the territory, barking away other predators, and creating this protective bubble around our farm. They allow our farm animals to flourish while also keeping away the animals that could hurt our farm. Yet at the same time, I comfortably let coyotes run wild in other parts of our farm because I see so much good that they do for the ecosystem. Would you look at those big apex predator paw prints right there? You know, I actually have been using my trail cameras a lot, as you guys know. And one of the coolest discoveries I think I've made this fall is I think I've figured out where there's a coyote den, and I have a couple of trail cameras that I've kept up around that area and just watched the coyotes come and go. And it's just been such a magical experience. You know, the word coyote, I think, translates to trickster in Spanish or Aztec languages. I believe it's like one of the two. And coyotes are definitely a Western American animal species, but as the wolves got eliminated from this area during white settlement a couple hundred years ago, coyotes have crept further and further eastward, and they found this area to be very suitable for what they do. You know, the majority of a coyote's diet is going to be centered on rodents, but they also go through and pick clean carrion and scraps. Coyotes are also known to potentially hunt a little fawn here or there, as well as maybe a turkey. But despite the fact that they might try to hunt some of the same animals I hunt, I actually think they're good here because they help promote greater biodiversity. I think certain species like mice and deer would further overrun this area if it wasn't for the help of the coyote. And so part of why I consider a coyote a keystone species is the role that it plays in balancing certain things out here in our ecosystem in northern Vermont. Coyotes are definitely social creatures, mostly operating in packs, but occasionally you'll see a lone coyote wandering around here and there. One of the things I've observed as I've observed this coyote den is just how they've started to communicate with each other and how they might invite others into their area to enjoy some of the bounty and food that they discover. You know, one of these days I could see myself going crazy for a couple of weeks and just camping out in the middle of the woods and doing all that I can to document those coyotes, because watching them is just absolutely fascinating. And part of why I share the footage of stuff like this with you guys is I don't think we can promote ecosystem biodiversity and coyote coexistence without people actually seeing what these things can look like up close and personal. You know, so often you'll see message boards and like community groups talking about people complaining about coyotes eating their chickens or eating other animals. And in my opinion, part of that really is on the human to create certain good boundaries to allow that coexistence with the wildlife. I know that that's kind of a controversial opinion and not everybody agrees with it, but I do believe that if you're going to do something like raise chickens, you got to create a habitat to make sure that your chickens are safe. Now that definitely includes the obvious things like making sure they have food and water and you can keep them warm and out of the elements. But ensuring their coexistence with the environment, I feel like, is similarly on that list of needs for your birds. Okay, you vultures, here you go. Uh-oh, I hear Toby Dog barking. You know, as I've been watching the farm with our trail cameras, there's other interesting creatures that I've seen pop up as well. As both climate and wildlife habitat continue to change, I do wonder what things are going to look like, say, 20 years from now in terms of what species we have here on and around the farm, what creatures are thriving, what creatures are barely surviving. I definitely think that the landscape is going to continue to change, and how we think about nurturing and support it as good stewards of the land is an important consideration for folks like me who own large tracts of land, but even for folks who are in cities and suburbs who are just watching this all play out. I think the more you can do to support that good wildlife management, the better off we're all going to be. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. I've got to go check some trail cameras. I'll talk to you soon. What you looking at there, Belinda? Huh?